beautiful soul. Welcome to the Quantum Business Queen podcast. This podcast is a vortex for activating wealth, riches, and boss bitches. It is here that I teach multi-dimensional business. Our content will fall under 3 different categories: 5D quantum creation, 4D frequency alchemy, and the most potent 3D strategy. Every aspect of business that contributes to the creation of success is covered here. Plus, I will be personally interviewing the most amazing boss bitches that are at the forefront of the game, paving the way for money, magic, and magnetism in business. Let's get ready to activate all of that within you. Welcome to Scale with Automations, amazing humans. All right, I'm going to dive straight in. Yeah, this is something I don't normally talk about. I don't normally talk about strategy. I mean, I kind of do, but not a masterclass solely based on strategy. So I'm wondering the energy that this is going to bring. I'm going to bring as much energy as I possibly can when it comes to talking about strategy. But I was really inspired to speak about this because I was in LA and I think it was April-ish. And then, we went really deep on funnels and strategy and what's at the forefront of what people are doing to scale. I mean, yeah, multi-6 figures is great. But, you know, my mentor who's going to be cracking, I'm pretty sure 8 figures fairly soon. Every time I ask her, like, what did you do? What did you do to hit the next income threshold? She always says the same thing, and it's all you need is one good funnel. So I've been diving deep into all of this, and I've been with my mentor for 3 years now. And yeah, so, you know, Nick is like the queen of all of this, and my whole back end support team, they're expert when it comes to funnels and automations. I mean, my team, Ariel, she calls herself the funnels queen, right? So this is all just seems to be aligning and showing up in my world. And then I also met an amazing human when I was on Necker Island, and her, surprisingly, sole focus is this, but more in terms of understanding the data, analyzing, tweaking, optimizing. Nick always says it's, you know, you can build a funnel and it's really good to have as an asset. It can and will be your best business asset. However, it's like a marriage. It's one of those things that you test and tweak, but you ideally, you want to know what's going to work straight off the bat. And I have things that we can speak about today. So in terms of knowing like how to launch something that's going to be profitable. So let's talk about strategy. Like I said, this is a different energy for me because I don't normally talk about this. I had a quantum coach certification this morning. So I need to like shift into this data mind, this analytical mind, that you guys, I love this strategy. I love systemizing things because number one, it helps your energy to be super, super expansive. It lets your ego loosen its grips, knowing that everything's being sorted, like from like an action and automation standpoint, and it allows you to really be in your feminine flow, which is what allows you to really amplify and anchor into magnetism, and what allows you to attract in the experiences and the synchronicities and the people and all the things. Meanwhile, your business is rocking itself, doing its thing in the background. And this is what we all want. This is what my business has allowed me to do. And I'm going to give you some numbers and data and all the cool things. And hopefully there'll be a piece for all of you, no matter where you're at in business. Okay, so let's talk about we're going to talk about why this is important. We're going to talk about some challenges to overcome. I want to kind of illuminate why things may or may not feel like they're working for you, and what to look at, even just from a standpoint of if you don't have automations in place, if you don't have a funnel in place, you know, that definitely there's things you need to consider beforehand. You kind of need to lay the foundation, etc., for all of this. However, you know, when it comes to marketing, I'm reading this book by, his name is Subre, and he started a digital marketing agency called King Kong, and he's on Shark Tank. I love it. He has a quote that says, marketing, if you know how to market properly, a marketing budget should never be a problem. And he's so right. Like if you understand properly how to optimize a funnel, the return you can get on a funnel creates a space for you to have an endless, bottomless marketing budget. So that solves a lot of problems, right? And I'm going to talk to you about how this is possible today. So if you haven't been able to scale, there are 3 potential reasons why. Number 1, it's a traffic problem, which there should never be a traffic problem in this day and age because Facebook, Instagram, ads, Google, all of it have created platforms to put you in front of hundreds and thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions of people literally at the click of a few buttons. So traffic should never really be a problem if you understand how to access people. And we'll talk about that. Conversion problem. So yeah, it's great to be in front of people, but unless you know how to bring them from who are you to take my money, then you could be in front of as many people as you want. If you're not converting, then you won't scale. And then you have a list problem. You know, if you have an email list, but it's not warm or if it's not big enough, then you're not going to be able to organically launch and scale, which is, I have gone from doing lots and lots and lots paid, and then I've gone and tested just organic and lots paid and just organic. So the reason I can do I can do decent launching organically is because I have a good list now and they're warm people that I continuously nurture. So there's 3 different types of things you want to look at when it comes to really scaling your business. And I'm talking about big time scaling, guys. Like, we're not here to play small, right? I'm talking about multi-6. How do we scale into 7 figures? These are the things. And if you're just launching a business, I want you to be thinking this as well. Like, how do I set up my business in such a way traffic, conversion, and lists are not a thing for me? They're not a thing for you. And I'm going to talk to you about all of that today. Very exciting. Very exciting. So here is, there's a few different things. But we set the funnel stuff aside. One of the most important key factors is positioning yourself properly, because traffic is everywhere and anywhere. It's a commodity. Like, you can access traffic quite easily with just a few click of a buttons, YouTube a few things, and then you'll be able to put things in place where traffic is there. You can access traffic, and I'm going to teach you organic ways to access traffic, really, really powerful ways to organically access traffic. So traffic should never be an issue, right? Traffic, if you know how to tap into people's networks properly, traffic should never be an issue. The issue normally for people is, how do I take what I have and then how do I convert that to paying customers? How do you master this? And this is what I want to address today, because it's one thing to have a funnel, right? It's one thing to have a funnel. Anyone and everyone on this planet can build out a funnel, but unless you have a funnel that converts, then you're not going to have a scalable business. You're not going to have a business that's going to create predictability, that's going to create sustainability, and that's going to be able for you, it'll be a reverse engineer, basically a numbers game. So you need to figure out a way for your funnel to be self-liquidating and profitable. Most important things. Otherwise, there's no point, right? There's no point. And I've done this. I've thrown lots of money at the walls, hoping it sticks, with very little strategy behind it, just thinking, oh, this funnel is going to be great. But how do we get this self-liquidating and how do we get this profitable? This is, again, where marketing budget isn't a thing, because you're making, for every $1, you're making 2 or 3 or 4, even 10. I've had a funnel that I got a 10x return on. Pretty wild, right? So guys, I cannot tell you how important this conversation is today. Okay? I cannot tell you why, for me, understanding selling and marketing and psychology behind what drives human behavior, in my opinion, is one of the best things you can put your money behind. So if you look at it this way, so basically what funnels will do, when you understand the process behind converting, it creates predictability, it's repeatability, and scalability. When you have those 3 things, you have a very, very, very powerful business that will help you crash through any glass ceiling. Okay? It's really cool. Really, really cool. And this is what savvy entrepreneurs, online digital marketers have, that this is the code that they have cracked. And again, when you combine this with the energy work, which for me is the biggest part of this, but if you have 10% of the strategy honed in at this capacity, you're literally, your business is unstoppable. Your business is unstoppable. So here's the thing. This is one of the reasons why I feel this information is so important in terms of investing, and like this, hopefully this plants a seed for you today, for you to really start delving deep into how do I become, like, how can I nail digital marketing? If you look at investing, for example, and I'm not saying this is the only thing you should invest in. I have a rental property. I have my superannuation and stocks and all those, and I have crypto even. But if you look at the return for the Australian market annually, on average, if in real estate, you get 11.8 return annually. So for $1, you get $1.12, for example. Look at the Australian stock market. On average, you get a 9.5% return annually. So for every dollar you spend, you get 1.09 in return. Guys, digital marketing it's endless. I've gotten a $10 almost return for every dollar I've spent in a very short amount of time. It was about a 3-month period, right? So a lot of this, so for when it comes to real estate, when it comes to stock markets, when you're investing, most of the time that return takes about a year. Digital market, yeah, this is why this information is important, okay? If you can nail one thing, for me, digital marketing is the best and quickest way to tenfold your cash in a short amount of time. So I want to just let this simmer in your body for a minute. I think the only other way this type of return can be accessible is through crypto investment. I see lots of people getting wild returns. However, crypto is very volatile and you do not have control over crypto. You have a lot more control over analyzing data, understanding how to get things converting and tweaking and optimizing to the point where, I've heard of people getting, guys, sometimes I don't even want to talk about this because it seems outrageous. $20 for every $2. Like we've had click-through rates. Yeah, scared of crypto. Look, I'm not going to even go there when it comes to crypto. Don't even ask me about crypto, but I'm just saying so one of my biggest clients was Crypto Joe. He's the founder of the Cryptocurrency Institute. So when I was a kinesiologist, 90% of my clients were crypto investors, and I was seeing them make millions and then lose it. So look, you can make a shit ton of money is all I'm saying. However, this is predictable, this is repeatable, and this is scalable. And this is in your hands because you can always optimize it, right? You're not going to immediately make it. When it comes to creating a funnel, and when it comes to launching ads, etc., you can do it organically. And you do want to test organically. And once you get things optimized organically, and I'm going to show you how to do that today, then you want to take it because you've tested it organically. You want to take as much risk out of it as you possibly can, test what it works organic. And then what do? You put a strategic Facebook ad campaign behind it and you put rocket fuel behind it. It's already worked because you've already tested it organically, right? So I'm going to give you some things today that are going to help you create a self-liquidating asset in your business that will create predictability, that will create scalability, and that will give you the craziest of returns. And I'm not saying put all your money into this. I love property, for example. Like I'm just passionate about property. So I'm always interested in investing in things I'm passionate about, but I'm even more passionate about marketing. And I know when you nail this, when you know you have something that people want, when you know how to convert, this return can be child's play. I mean, there's some wild returns that we have seen. So this is an average one. I never like setting too crazy of expectations. But yeah, it gets to be really, really, really powerful when you understand how all of this works. So are you guys ready to hear? Are we all on the same page? You getting excited to learn about funnels? Never thought I'd say that out loud. Actually, I just was, like I said, I was so inspired when I was in LA, and you can see why, most of the time, most of the entrepreneurs that I speak to get them past the multi-six-figure threshold. And if you want to get yourself into the multi-six-figure threshold, then this is for you. Yes, you've experienced a good funnel. Yes, exactly. Every single one, the ones that are doing the 200K months, the ones that are scaling into 8 figures, they all say the same thing. They all know what this is, right? My mentor knows the power of funnels, but she pays $30,000 to get the best copywriters and to get the best media buyers because she knows for every dollar you spend, the return can be astronomical. It can be 20, 30. I've seen people to do 300, right? So 100K months is laughable. And when you get a self-liquidating funnel, you can see how marketing budgets are never an issue, right? Never an issue. I loved that quote. That's not my quote. I won't claim that one, but it's like, oh my God, of course. Like if you do this properly, it just gets to be a game of tweaking, optimizing, and then adding more fuel and more fuel and more fuel. So there are 3 different types of funnels that are self-liquidating that I want to speak about today. Have any of you heard of the tripwire, the SLO, or the VSL? Probably not. So the ones that we have used that have really worked well are the tripwire and the VSL. So for all of these funnels, the number one most important thing is understanding how to speak to people, the copywriting and the graphics, all of the intricacies that go into how to pull these people in and say, oh my gosh, give me some more of this. But firstly, let me explain to you what these 3 types of funnels are and what you would use depending on where you're at in business and what you're wanting to scale. So there's a different funnel for, like I said, no matter where you're at. So a good funnel will do all of the things I spoke about before in terms of what issues are. A good funnel will solve the traffic problem, but I told you there's never a traffic problem. You can access traffic at the click of a button. There's organic ways to access traffic, and there are obviously paid ways you can access traffic. So let's just call this one out. There should never be a traffic problem. It definitely solves the email list problem, the small list problem. And if you understand buyer's psychology, if you understand how to properly speak to your people, buyer's psychology, and if you understand number 3, how to position yourself properly, then, and if you set up the funnel properly, then conversion should never be a problem. If conversion is a problem, it's either you're not speaking to the right people, you haven't positioned yourself properly, or your messaging's off. So I just want to say that again. If conversion is a problem, you're speaking to the wrong people, and I know what that's like. It's weird. You're speaking to the wrong people. You haven't positioned your packages properly. That's a big one. You haven't made it just like an absolute no-brainer. Or you haven't nailed your messaging. You're too confusing. When people use jargon or they're overcomplicating things to try to seem intelligent or something or whatever, you confuse people, you will not convert. So you speak to your audience as if a 3rd grader will understand. So these are kind of little keys to understanding how to make sure you convert. You also always want to speak to transformations, not processes. So if you're like, come join my container where I teach you Reiki and I teach you how to tap into metaphysics, and people are like, I don't give a shit. Like, what am I going to use that for, right? They want to know the transformation. Firstly, people might not even know, don't assume they even know what Reiki means or is, right? They want to know that if your container is going to help them do A, B, C, D, and this is going to be the transformation. So for me, I'm always like, how do we nail 30K months for my people? That's my transformation. We do it through multidimensional business. That's what the Business Academy is. Multidimensional meaning you need to understand the quantum and how this works and how we tap into timelines. You need to understand that say that's like the 5D, conceptual 5D energetics. And you need to understand frequency and how our energy speaks to a neutral energetic field and how we magnetize things in. And that's what I refer to as 4D. And then you have, of course, the 3D strategy, which I'm equally as passionate about. So business is multidimensional. And so my delivery is my methodology is multidimensional business, and I help people anchor into 30K plus months and beyond. So that's my transformation, and that's how I speak to my people. If you go to my Instagram, it's right there. Instagram is a storefront. Do you speak to transformation? Do you speak about your methodology? Because methodology also gives you credibility. If you have a methodology and you say, this is my methodology, or this is my 6-step process, or this is my whatever, you immediately give yourself credibility because people aren't thinking, okay, I'm going to enter into this and it's going to be fluff, right? Here's the point A that are going to take me into point D, which is a transformation. And there's a process, the strategic process that I go through that's laid out. So this is how you speak to people immediately. You speak as if you're talking to a 3rd grader. You speak to the transformation, and you speak to your own unique intellectual property, which is your methodology, which has gotten you to where you are. And it's filled a lot of gaps that you see out there in the market. See, so for my gaps that I see, are people aren't talking about the quantum and the energy and really understanding or being able to interpret it properly for people to understand. And I know when I can do that paired with the strategy, then boom, explosions ignite, right? But I could talk about quantum and energy, and I can have all of these divine things happen, and I do, trust me. I've told you many of stories, and my clients have had many of stories. But if I'm not able to speak to transformation, if I'm confusing people in the process, if I haven't nailed my messaging, then I'm always going to have problems with converting because I'm not going to be seen as an authority. So these are really important pieces when it comes to conversion. It's great to build a funnel. It's great to be in front of traffic, but can we convert? That's the golden nugget. If you master copywriting and messaging and really honing in on knowing who your people are, and you can hit like dead on how to like speak to their souls, for every time they're like, Sarah, I feel like you're speaking to me. And it's like, 'cause I am. I understand you intimately. That is how you solve any and every conversion problem, paired with an absolutely irresistible offer that you've positioned properly. Okay, love it, love it, love it. So a good funnel will solve all of these problems. And that's what you want. You want all the problems in your business to be solved. Just like a magic business genie. Okay. Woo-wee. Radio. Okay. And it's so funny. You can have the simplest. I remember Nick saying she just quickly had this, like, was so divinely inspired. She saw there was a gap in something. I forget what this was years ago. And she literally whipped up a quick little opt-in funnel. And it was like one of her most successful funnels out there because it was simple. It wasn't overcomplicated. It spoke to the desire really, really powerfully, and it solved a problem. And it was highly transparent in terms of what the transformation was. And that's like no fluff, bullshit, no fluffy bullshit. It's like boom, 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 boom. Here, do you want this? And everyone ate it up. And this is what, again, a good funnel will do when you position it properly. This is how it'll convert. So the lady I met in Necker Island, Rose, she's teaching me the refinements on how to get it converting when it comes to like literally simplifying things. So I'll give you guys some other little golden tips as well. Like when you're putting fonts out there, don't do capital fonts. For some reason, that's less palatable than just all lowercase. So some of the most simple graphics where it's like, I did this and this happened, click below to find out more, is actually what's converting right now. Simple. Over manufactured, over curated, over this. It just feels so unattainable in a world where AI is taking over everything, where you don't even know if the person's talking is actually them. Like you see these little advertisements with Elon Musk and I'm like, that's not him. That is an AI generated version of him. Someone's going to get their ass sued for that. Do you know what I mean? People want real. They want simple and accessible, but at the same time, authority. I know. It's wild, isn't it? Hard to tell. Anywho, so keep it. So it's like, and you guys will see this. I want you, now that I'm turning your mind on to marketing, I want you to see the people that you see the advertisements where they're literally just on a walk, videoing themselves, and it feels like you're in a conversation with them. That's the marketing that's converting right now, where, you're not having to spend hundreds or thousands in front of a camera in a studio. I don't do any of that. It is literally the people that are like, you see, doing their makeup, people that are doing their makeup and talking. That's a very strategic way of marketing. They're doing that on purpose, not because they're running out of time and they're like, they don't have time in the day, so they're going to do their marketing at the same time as that's not why they're doing that. They're doing that because they're creating relatability. They're creating that girlfriend effect where it's like, oh, I feel like I'm one of your best mates sitting in the bathroom with you and we're having a conversation. Those are the things that people are craving. So when it comes to, you have a funnel, people click on the link to access your funnel, but what do you have before that, right? You have to have a message that hits really hard. You have to have a graphic or a video that's going to pull people in. Those two things, they're all part of the funnel as well. Okay, so I'm going to break down the 3 types of funnels and keep it super, super simple. So, firstly, a tripwire funnel. Okay, so a tripwire funnel is simply this. A tripwire funnel is you creating some sort of irresistible opt-in or irresistible freebie. It could be an ebook. It could be a mini series. Like, what is it that you would want? So whenever I'm creating any sort of freebie or opt-in, I always think to myself, what is it that I could give away where people are like, I can't believe she's giving this away for free. Like, this is people's first impression of you. Don't be afraid to give information away for free. Information is not a commodity. Information is not power anymore. It used to be. They said knowledge is power, etc. It's what you do with it, which is what makes it powerful, right? So I always say this, information is not power anymore. You look at Elon Musk, he knows this. He has open sourced patents. He knows that information is not power. People don't work with you, believe it or not, for information. This is why understanding buyer psychology is so crucial. People do not work with you because they want information. You could literally go to AI or YouTube or wherever, Google, and get the information. People work with you because they want support, they want accountability, they want a transformation. So do not be afraid of giving away secret sauce info in your freebie. The more generous you are, the more magnetic and alluring you'll be, where it's like, wow, ooh, this is interesting. Oh my gosh, this is really cool. And then of course, when they're in your container, you just want to create this most explosive, expansive experience, and they're going to love you. So Tripwire's creating, number one, a free opt-in. A free opt-in. So here's my freebie with delicious juiciness. Immediately after they opt in, you can either call it a tripwire or a bump up funnel. What's going to happen is the next page that pops up is going to be a paid offer. $17, $11, whatever. $17 is the juicy spot. Psychologically speaking, when somebody first clicks, in their mind they're going yes. The second thing they do is opt in their mind is a yes. And then they see the third thing pop up. This is like buyer psychology. They want to keep going with the yeses. So you want to position an irresistible $17 offer. Maybe it was something that you used to charge $100 for and you're giving it away for $17. So this is a really powerful way. And then what you do as well, I'll do another little bump up, and we've had success with selling these. Another little bump up I'll offer. If they say yes to the $17, then I'll do one more offer, which is my $500 offer. So it's 2 payments of $250, and that has been selling. It just now is starting to get some momentum. It took a bit of tweaking to get there. So this is self-liquidating in several different ways. And I would just start with the freebie, then the tripwire or the bump up, whatever you want to call it. Number one, this will, if you have a really decent ad campaign, your cost per lead or CPL should be around $5. I had an agency happy with $15 when a cost per lead, and I was like, no way. I know I could personally do way better. We had somebody when we were working with them get a $2 cost per lead conversion. So that meant anytime somebody gave us their email, it costed them $2 for that campaign. That's amazing. If you get a $5 per email address or cost per lead, you're happy with that, because it's every time they opt into the $17 tripwire, guess what? They're paying for those leads. This is how this funnel becomes self-liquidating. You can have an endless, scalable funnel because the tripwire is paying for your Facebook ad leads. Because your CPL, your cost per lead, should be around $5, $8, maybe $10. And if your tripwire is 17, and you optimize it to the point where the conversion is really high, which you can, because buyer psychology will say that once someone clicks, they're a yes. Once somebody opts in, they're a yes. And then you position the tripwire properly, they're always going to be a yes. You should get up to like an 80% conversion there, right? So this in and of itself is self-liquidating. If you had a big enough budget, which you technically would, you could scale this endlessly, right? Because you're profiting. For every $5, if you're making like $12 from that, that's amazing. That's an amazing return just in a simple tripwire self-liquidating funnel. So from there, what's happening? You need to think, where am I driving the traffic to? Number one, you're driving them to your email list, right? Because they're opting in. So there goes your email list problem. You're now building your email list for free. Number two, I would also drive them, this is up to you, to a private Facebook group. So you have another means of being able to nurture and scale your audience. You're warming them up. So anytime somebody opts into my funnel, they're automatically put into an email automation that's already pre-set up. And then they can have the choice to add themselves into my private Facebook group. You can also add in another automation, which is a ManyChat automation, but it's just overcomplicating things, so we're going to keep that streamlined for now. So this is the most basic, easy way to get an asset, which is going to pretty much solve all three of those issues. You will no longer have a traffic issue. You will no longer have an email list issue. And if you nail the messaging right on your funnel, you will not have a conversion issue. So this sets your audience up to the point where you can actually then start doing powerful launches to them, because you're pulling people, you're taking them from cold traffic, converting them to warm, and you're taking them through this awareness scale around who you are. They're going to eat up your freebie, let alone eat up the $17 thing, let alone like, where can I get more of you, right? So you're going to have like really warm, pretty lukewarm people ready to go into to higher level offers. And this is where you can start launching and do like 50, 60, 70, 80K launches, all of which I've done. And also I've actually done these launches with more cold traffic. So now we're implementing these funnels because we're pulling these people in. We're giving them the serotonin experience by way of my stuff. And then when I'm ready to launch, people are there. This is really, really powerful stuff. So if you were just starting out in business, I would test the tripwire, because you're able to test out your freebies. You're able to see what the feedback is. People are going to message you. You're going to get the print screens. You're going to get the whatevers. And then you could say, okay, I've hit the money, or I need to maybe add this in, or people are wanting this. And then again, tweak, optimize. The best way to do this is don't leave anything to guessing when you're putting out a funnel, when you're putting out marketing, when you're launching. So one of the best things you can do is, one of the most golden nugget things you could do is create a survey. Survey your audience. Why did they seek out your content? What is it they're looking for? Where are the gaps for them? What are their biggest desires? What have they struggled with in the past? Why have they chosen you? Those sorts of questions, because when they answer those questions, they've kind of built the container out for you, and you will use their words to sell back to them. Don't pretend to assume you know their desires. Ask them what their desires are and use their exact words to speak back to them. So when it comes to marketing, we don't want to leave anything to a guessing game, right? Okay, beautiful soul, we're going to leave it there for right now. This is part 1. Come back to next week for part 2, where I deliver so much more juicy content when it comes to 3D strategy, scaling with automations. This is really exciting stuff. You really want to jump on this wave right now, because this is at the forefront of what is really working for entrepreneurs in terms of scalability, repeatability, and predictability, the 3 things you need for a powerful multi-6-figure business. Until next time, I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for listening today, beautiful soul. I hope you got so much gold and were activated in such a way that you could step into your highest timeline of abundance and freedom, because it is more than possible for you. If that desire has been planted in your soul, it is so deliberate. If you wouldn't mind, please rate, review, subscribe to this podcast so that we can get this message into the hearts and ears of more amazing light beings across the world. I would love to continue this conversation with you, so feel free to get in touch on Instagram at sarah.tynan.quantumcoach. If you're a Facebook person, you can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Sarah Tynan International. And please don't ever forget, if your desire is there, it's because your destiny is there too. You just have to remember who you are. Bye for now, beautiful.